It's combination book
This
talk.
meeting is being recorded.
I always forget about that. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to tonight's combo book talk and question and answer session featuring author Ali Farrell and several of Maine's female lobstermen, who are highlighted in Ali's book Pretty Rugged: True Stories from Women of the Sea. So as you saw, this meeting is being recorded, so keep that in mind if you prefer not to be on camera. Just a reminder too to mute yourself if you're not speaking, or check to make sure you're muted to avoid any cross noise. So I am Allison Miette. I am the Collections and Community Engagement Manager at New Bedford Fishing Heritage Center. I'm super excited to be here with Ali and the lobstermen. So Ali is a Maine author, mother, and photographer, as well. Sorry, I lost my spot. Ali wears multiple hats, but finds her passion in photography and writing. She has published 2 works of nonfiction, Pretty Rugged being one of those, and multiple children's books. My personal favorite is A Lobster Girl Can. Up to Camp is her newest book coming out soon, and then I have the link to her website. I'm going to put that in the chat right now. We can buy all her wonderful books. And then if you're local, we do carry A Lobster Girl Can and Pretty Rugged in the center's gift shop. So tonight's program is part of our year-long Women's Work series, which explores the roles of women in fishing communities. This program specifically was generously funded by the Bridge Street Fund, which is an initiative of Mass Humanities. And then quickly, before Ali and the fishermen enlighten us, I want to remind you to follow our Facebook and Instagram, as well as checking our online calendar for upcoming events. We have a lot of cool stuff planned through the spring and summer. I'll put those links in the chat really quick. All right. So we'll start off with Ali. Why don't you tell us a little about the process for writing Pretty Rugged?
It was pretty exciting. I mean, I was able to meet so many incredible people, and they, let me be on their boat and in their way. And everyone was so open with everything and giving all their stories. So it was pretty awesome. It's nice to be able to see some of the faces again, because we don't all live very close to each other. So this is nice, but I have some pictures I'm gonna put up with some information, and if I can figure this out, we will do it, I think. No, it's not. It's not there anymore. Hold on, bear with me. No, that's not it. All right, let me open it up again. Hold on. Sorry, guys. We just tested it and it worked.
Technology, am I right?
Yeah. Okay. Let me try this again. Yeah, here it is. All right. Try this. So I'll go through some of the information in the book and things I learned along the way. And then at the end, if anybody has any questions, I'd love to answer them. So first, we are just going to check out a little preview of the book so you can see a little bit about what it's about. So this is my mom and dad and some of the boats that they had when they were fishing. My inspiration for the book really came from a connection to the lobster industry from a young age. Growing up, my father fished offshore and my mother produced and sold lobster tanks, so I've always felt a connection to the industry. My father had all kinds of stories from when he was fishing offshore up by Newfoundland, and they were just crazy stories. And after talking so much shop with my female fisherman buddies around here, I decided they deserved to tell their stories to the world. And it's really an uncommon and unique lifestyle to learn about, especially for those from away. One of the things I loved most about this project was that I just got to completely immerse myself in these little fishing communities. And a lot of the interviews were done either out on their boat while I was fishing, by phone or email, but some of the best stories that I got was when I went out to whatever island they were on or wherever they were living, met them at their own local pub, and we were able to just get to know each other. They could see that they could trust me to tell their story exactly how they wanted it. And one of the other things I loved about doing it at a local pub would be, some of the other patrons would overhear what we were talking about and they'd come over and tell all their stories. And some of these are men who've been fishing for, 60 years and they've earned many really great stories to tell. So I was feeling pretty lucky that I got to meet all of these really amazing people. One of the largest obstacles for this project would definitely be COVID. Obviously, COVID put a real strain on everyone across the board. But for this project, it was set to be released in spring 2020. But when the first quarantine began, the seafood market completely shut down in every aspect. So it didn't make sense for the fishermen to have their boats and traps in the water when there was no outlet for their seafood. So during that time, we were able to make a significant impact with United Fishermen Foundation. We were able to connect the fishermen directly with consumers up and down the coast of Maine, so they actually had an outlet for their catch that were in their traps. But for the book, I just couldn't get out to take the photos if they weren't fishing, of course. So once things did finally open back up, I actually still couldn't connect with a few of the people in the book who were high risk. For example, Virginia Oliver, who you see here, she's 100 years old and still fishing about 3 days a week. And, her along with a few others, they're just people who I really admired and made a large impact in this community. So it was worth it to me to wait and document them properly. One thing I did learn throughout this process is that fishing is a lifestyle, not just a job. To be a successful fisherman, you must devote your life to working in extremely hard, hazardous conditions. The seas in the Gulf of Maine are very unforgiving. I think this year alone, I believe it's 7 of our local Maine fishermen that we've lost to capsized vessels. So I think the next time people are trying to haggle their local fishermen down on a lobster price, I hope they recall all of the real dangers both the fishermen and their families face each morning. Something that really stood out to me was that fishermen and these small fishing communities are often portrayed in a particular light, and it's usually a light that conveys anger or rowdiness. But I mean, although a touch of Wild West anarchy has always been a part of lobstering, the fishing community I learned is definitely one which, if a fellow fisherman or their family finds themselves truly in need of help, you will see an army of people ready to give their support for them, no questions asked. And I just loved seeing that. Going off that idea of the stereotypical fisherman, the women that you'll see in the book are anything but that. They are intelligent, driven, and always searching to expand and upgrade their business. I loved hearing about what the ladies do off the water. Throughout the book, you'll see some off-season accomplishments such as pilots, attorneys, marine biologists, state representatives, aquaculture farmers, construction workers, wharf management, substitute teachers, property management, sports coaches, marathon and triathlon participants, advisors on numerous councils, and I could go on, but the point is, these girls will not take no for an answer, and they are okay with doing things outside of the norm. And if they want it, they're going to go out and get it. A lot of stories stood out to me, but something I really loved hearing about was the stories of childhood within a fishing family. So many of them had similar daddy daycare situations where they stayed in a playpen on the boat, they napped through the halls, they watched in amazement as each trap was hauled up to see what treasures would be inside. Once they were old enough to get to work, they all started immediately working the family business. They didn't have a summer like most kids, as they worked hard day in and day out while the weather was good. A little part from the book, Sadie remembers her and her sister spending daddy daycare hours in lobster totes aboard their father's boat. As they grew too big for the tote playpens, they'd find the best napping area above the engine box, where the warmth and purr of the engine combined with the rocking waves of the sea helped them drift off to sleep. You see so many similar stories with all the girls in the book who grew up fishing, and it's really a neat thing to see. Other stories that stood out to me were some of the real life situations that people found themselves in. Here's one from Heather Thompson of Harrington, and she explains that her and her father were out to haul. They had been hearing what they thought were cries for help. After hauling a few more pair, her dad noticed a boat that was up ahead in gear, just doing tight circles over and over. That didn't look right to her dad, so they stopped hauling and they went to see what was going on. He noticed a fellow fisherman trying to hang on to his boat's hauling side, while it was doing circles. He had been there for a while and was losing his grip and strength. After assessing the situation, their only option was for her dad to sail his boat at the same speed as the other boat, doing the same tight circles. She remembers her sister telling her how scared she was when her dad looked back at her and said, "When I get up to the boat, I will tell you when, and you just jump." She says it took guts for her sister to move from one moving boat to another, but it had to be done. So no second guessing the decision. When the father said jump, she did. She managed to get aboard the man's boat and pull back the throttle to take it out of gear. Their dad quickly jumped aboard, and it took both of their strength to haul him back over the side. She remembers them saying he had nothing left in him, no more strength. He just laid on the floor and thanked them. She believes after he regained his composure, the dad and sister got back in their boat and finished hauling, and the other guy, once he regained his strength, took his boat and went home. There's a lot of other stories similar to this in the book, and you have to realize both sides of the fishing lifestyle. There's the great family side with generations that go back working together, and there's also a lot of these very scary moments. A lot of people have been asking for a list of both photographers and fishermen that are in this book. So I did make some lists. I'm not going to keep this up for
a whole lot of time for you guys to check out because I know this will be recorded and there's a lot of names, so you can always go back and look through after this recording is out there. I was so lucky to be able to meet so many amazing fishermen here. So I have their names and their boats.
I am. Sorry, that cut off there a little bit. Next was about Holly, who was going to say a few things, but she wasn't able to make it today, so that got cropped a little bit. But yeah, so that was kind of my process and everything. But I know you guys really probably have questions for the interesting people, the fishermen. So do you have any questions?
I mean, does anybody have any quick questions for Allie? I think you're interesting too.
Oh, hey, thanks. They have all the good stories though.
So do you have a connection to the fishing industry? Sorry, I don't remember if you
Yeah,
said it.
well, when I was younger, my parents used to. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, in that case, let's have the lobstermen introduce themselves. So we'll start, I guess, what we usually like to do is we'll start with one person and then that person will introduce themselves. And then if you tell us how long you've been lobstering for, and then maybe like what port you're represent or what area you're from. And then if you pass it to the next lobsterman, and then we'll just make sure that everybody got a chance to speak at the end. But
if I can just interject, if you put your view, if you're not used to Zoom and you put it on speaker view, you'll see the person who's speaking kind of larger, and that might be helpful just because there are quite a few people on this call, which is fantastic. We're up to 27, so hooray.
Ooh. That could be helpful. But we're just gonna keep it a little brief so that we can have time for audience questions too. So the first person on my screen would be Thompson, Heather Thompson, I presume. if you wanna begin.
Hi. Can you hear me? We're good. So yeah, I'm Heather Thompson. I'm captain of fishing vessel Gold Digger. I'm 47 years old, have been fishing for 37 years, captain for 19 years. I fish out of Harrington. I am fourth generation fisherman. I have two sons, 20 and 25, who are fifth generation fishermen. And yeah, I say captain for 19 years, I guess. So still at it. I fish the state limit 800. And I'm not sure who's next. Abby, I see Abby over there.
Hi, I'm Abby Pettigrew. I fish, I'm the captain of that free Captain Gus out of Southwest Harbor. I fish Zone B. I buy the state limit, but I only fish about 400 traps just due to my boat size. And in my downtime, I fish third man for my father on Nephi Miss Abby, and we fish all the way out in the federal zone. I have been a captain since I was 17. I bought my boat my senior year of high school and rebuilt it with my father, but I've fished since I was 8 with him. Yeah. What do I see next? Kit Porter is who I see next.
So I don't think Kit Porter's a lobsterman. Do you know any of the other lobstermen who are featured here? I mean, one thing that's tricky is we don't all know each other. But.
Okay, hang on, let me find somebody. I see Lindsay next. I'll pass it to Lindsay.
Okay. Hi, can everyone hear me? I'm Lindsay McDaniels. I fish out of Northeast Harbor. And I've been fishing for over 20 years and probably had my own boat for about 10. And it's, been amazing. it's definitely a learning curve. I grew up in Minnesota, so I came here for college and I fell in love with the ocean and started as a sternman and worked my way up and eventually, did my hours as an apprentice and got my lobster license and my captain's license. And now I've been taking my mom, she goes fishing with me, and then I take my daughter and her 2 friends. So we always have lots of women and little kids on the boat, which makes it fun. And I can fish 800 traps, but I don't fish all 800 either. Being a mom and trying to take other girls fishing, it's a lot of work. So yeah, no, it's been awesome. And I can't see any people on my thing because I'm on my phone. So I don't know who to pass it on to.
That's okay. I've got Amber next on mine, if you want to go, or Ariel.
I can go. Yeah, you go.
Ariel, you're next.
Oh, I think there's confusion. I've got Ariel on the screen here and Amber doesn't matter who goes, everybody will get a chance. So Ariel, why don't you start? Why don't you speak?
Okay. Hi, I'm Ariel Gilly out of Southwest Harbor. I started when I was 11. I got my student license and then my commercial when I was 15. And so it's been 20 years, I guess. I started with my dad. It was a family business. My brother, we all started at a little 18-foot skiff, the Honeydew. And we just kind of grew into our own fishing careers, I guess. I got my first boat when I was graduated from high school when I was 15, because I knew I wanted to be on the water. So I got out of there as fast as I could. And my family, me, my mom, my dad, we all built mermaids, a little 28-foot T. Jason. And I just started from there. And I've been through a lot of different boats. Right now I have the Queen Bee, 42-foot Novi. Take both of my kids and they like to go sometimes. I don't know, my son, he doesn't like the long days, that's for sure. My daughter is all about it. She'll put her Grundies right on and go right out on deck. And my daughter's 6 and my son's 7, but she'll put her Grundies right on and grab the banders and start banding right away. But she loves it. They love the water just like me. But yeah, I don't know. I'm state only at the moment. I'm looking to get a better boat, faster boat. I go 6.4 knots, but I fish all 800. I still have 700 in the water right now. But yeah, so I guess that it's it for me for now, I guess. But we'll pass it off.
Great, awesome, cool. Amber, would you like to go?
Sure. My name is Amber. I'm a sternman. I'm not a lobsterman. I don't have a lobster license. I fish on the FB Finally Fishing out of South Thomaston in Pleasant Island. It's a 38-foot Novi, goes about 9 knots. So Ariel, your boat goes a lot faster. Mostly me in the book is about my family's boat building history. Because I grew up going fishing, clamming, you can all call it fishing. I started with my dad, but my first real fishing experience was with my uncles and cousins, and then my boyfriend fishes. So that's where I started full time, is with Trav. I don't know what else to say.
That's great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. All right, do we have any other pretty rugged fishermen that I may not Aphrodite's oysters?
Hi there, can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Can hear you.
Yeah, sorry, I have Aphrodite oysters up here. That's what I have had on this computer since I got it. But my name is Krista Tripp. I own the fishing vessel Shearwater. And I started fishing with my dad when I was about 8 years old. Right now, I'm sorry. I started fishing with my dad when I was 8, and then I started fishing on my own when I was like 15. We had a boat that I shared with my brother called Fishing Vessel Old Shell. And I fished on that all through high school. Then I did a program called the apprenticeship program. And I was actually put on a waiting list after that. I didn't get my paperwork in on time. So I was not one of the lucky ones. I decided to continue on with fishing. I went stern woman on many different boats throughout the years, also went scalloping in Massachusetts. I've been on urchin dragger boats, and I finally got my captain's license again about 6 or 7 years ago now. So thankfully lucky to be back running my own boat again. I fish Zone D, that is South Thomaston. I fish 800 traps now, gratefully. I also own a small oyster farm that I started about 4 or 5 years ago. Just because I didn't want all my eggs in one basket. I thought it was important to diversify my income with just the different things that are going on in the lobster industry. It makes it very unsure of my future lobstering. So I have a small oyster farm, and it's going to be a very busy year for me with a newborn and lobstering and oystering. So it's going to be very interesting, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. And I also usually have a boatload of kids, and I take, women on my boat as well. But I think this year I might take a man, just because I might need a little bit of extra muscle on the boat to really get through gear this year. So that's it.
All right, awesome. Wow, congrats on the new baby.
Thank you.
Great. All right.
I think there's
Well-
also Karen Cooper, if she
Karen
wants
Cooper.
to say hi. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Hey, everybody. So I'm Karen Cooper. I live on the island of North Haven. I've been fishing for about 30 years. Started off myself just in a skiff that was my dad's, hauling traps by hand. And then I jumped on as a stern man for a while. Well, not for a while, for 25 years. I did the stern thing. And 10 years ago, I got my own boat. I had been working at my family's boatyard on North Haven, and then had enough of working for a family. So got my own boat, got my own traps, decided to do my own thing. I just go by myself. I fish 200 traps just inside here. And then this is my first year. For probably the last 5 years, I've told the guy that I was fishing with, okay, I can't do anymore. I can't. I'm 50, then I'm 51, I'm 52. So finally at 55, I'm like, I can't. Plus I got diagnosed with Lyme. So I was wondering why I felt like shit all summer long. So if I had felt better, I'd probably do this year, but I'm happy to be just doing my own thing by myself. I used to take my kids every now and then. One would come with me, but now one is 25 with a baby of her own, and my son is 21 and he does construction, so he's out. And this will be my 7th year farming kelp. And last year I started harvesting salt from the ocean too. So started a little salt company called 12 Miles Out, because that's how far out North Haven is 12 miles out. So yeah, I've gone from hauling by hand into my own boat and then diversifying my income with some kelp. So that's about it.
Yeah, wow, look at that. I'm glad. Congrats. That's great. Okay. Any final fishermen that I may have missed? You can use the raise hand. You can unmute yourself. Okay. Well, in that case, we can open it up to the question and answer session. Does anybody from the audience have any burning questions they would like to ask all of the lobstermen or a specific lobsterman? I have my own questions, but I'll let you guys talk first.
And if you'd like to speak, you can type your question into the chat. You can just shout it out. You can raise your hand with the little raise hand function so that we know to call on you. But this is a pretty unusual opportunity, I would say. I'm completely inspired and awestruck by just the work that you all do, the life that you're living, the ways that you've become diversified in your income streams, and resilience is always something I associate with the fishermen I know, and it's very much on display here.
We do have a question in the chat from Kaylin that says, what are some of the challenges that you are facing in the lobster industry right now?
Great question.
But yeah, a good one.
There was somebody who I think just spoke, actually, who kind of alluded to needing to diversify, just not wanting to have all the eggs in one basket, given some of the challenges. I don't know if you want to speak up, or if anybody wants to take that question. Don't be shy. Heather, I see you unmuting.
Yeah, I mean, for the challenges that I face actually are from the new laws, new regulations being set forth as far as the rope and breakaways and things like that. That's all the things that we need to be able to buy and prepare for, and extra time and work that we need to do to get our gear actually ready to be set and legal. So it's hard for me to keep up with everything. It's like you kind of try to set on one thing, do that, and then move to the next thing that's has to be done in order to make yourself legal. Because if obviously you have to be legal in this industry or you're going to lose everything. So it's going to cost you either way. And I just know it doesn't come cheap. Every time you unhook your boat from the mooring, it costs you money, whether it's preparing or fuel, which is scary right now. I mean, I actually I race my boat as well, so I'm sailing my boat from anywhere from Jonesport to the Portland. So it makes me think, what do I really want to put into this, because it's going to cost so much to do. But yeah, that's my biggest challenge, keeping everything legal, making sure I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do to remain fishing. I'm sure some of the other women have the same challenges, if not more, or they can go ahead and speak on that.
Do any of the other yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say also, I mean, just for, cost wise, everything's going up, and last year was the first year I actually got a small gill net and was catching as much bait as I could for myself. I just have a, recreational license. So whatever I would catch, my brother, my father, my nephew, all fish. So we would share pogies, but definitely just the cost of everything going up is a huge challenge.
Um, so the cost about, I both you guys, I highly agree with what you said, the costs, and just everything in general. And then there's the physical aspect of it. Like right here, it's cold up. Like it's warm today. Today was amazing. Like, oh, it was like 70 here, but it hasn't been 70. It's been like 9 and 0 and freezing. My fingers go numb so much so that just in the mornings, getting down to the boat and the bait on is the biggest struggle for me, when it's that cold in this time of year, or the winter time anyway. And then the weather, on the other hand, is trying to find the days to go. You can't, I mean, you'll get a nice day, but it's the freezing cold days. It's never the warmer days, like the 30-degree days that you'd like to go. It's the 9-degree day that's calm out. So, I mean, you got to take what you can get sometimes, but it's challenging. Like you get cold, your hands get cold, your feet get cold. It's miserable. You got freezing spray on the windows, like you can't see. But the price makes it all worth it. But this time of year, that's the biggest struggle for us, is trying to find days to go. But now that springtime's coming, there's a lot to do. So much to do. You got buoys to paint, you got gear to go over, you got all the breakaways, like she said, you got to make sure everything's legal. It's a lot, especially if you're like moms and you have kids running around, you got responsibilities too on top of it. It all adds up. So at the end of the day, like, it's hard. Do you want to go full in, or can you go? It takes a lot to get built up. So that's what, over the years, it's taken me 20 years to get to where I am now. So, and the price is, oh my goodness, going to a trap's $100, like to buy it at each trap. So, and then you got everything else. You got all these new laws that they're adding, and everything's so expensive, as you guys are saying. It's just, there's a lot to it. But yeah, so I see there's another question, so I'll let you guys take it over.
Thank you for adding all that. There are some questions coming into the chat. So before we get too far down the way, there's a question. I'm from Alaska. I'm not from Alaska, but the questioner is, and have a question about the entry programs that a few people have mentioned.
Yeah, hi, this is Katie. I've been fishing for 40 years in Alaska, and 6 years seining, gill netting, long lining, and then my husband and I got our own salmon permit, and we've been fishing salmon since then. Raised our family, and both our daughters fish, and now my 2 daughters are buying out my operation this year, so I'm kind of looking at retirement. But it's great to see you guys and learn a little bit more about the East Coast and know that there's young women fishing out there. It's awesome. And our fishery, like many fisheries, we're experiencing the grain of the fleet. Most of our fishermen are older and have gray hair and are getting out soon. And we don't have as many people coming in as we should, mostly because it's super expensive to get into. And so I know I've heard something about the entry programs, and we're trying to develop some kind of stepping stones to help young fishermen get into the fisheries here. And so I don't want to have a huge conversation about it, but if anyone wanted to just like quickly say whether, like, did an entry program allow you to make your living fishing, or is it pretty much just generational coming up through a family? So I'll sign off, and if anyone just has a quick yay or nay, then we'll know if we should follow your example up here.
I mean, I can say it's definitely not generational. No one can pass down a lobster license here. So you pretty much either do your student program or you got to do the apprenticeship. And like a lot of people wait 10, 12 years to get a lobster license. So it's hard, and people grow up in these fishing families and they don't see themselves wanting to do it. And then a couple of years later, they like regret it. And they're like, why didn't I ever do that? I've seen a lot of people like because I came from away. So it was, people were like, how did you get it before me? I'm like, because I did the apprenticeship and I put my name on the list. So I know it's frustrating because a lot of places you can pass it down generation to generation. But in Maine, it's not. You have to do the hours of time and do the student license or do the apprenticeship. So I think that's a very I mean, I feel like it's frustrating for people that raise a family here, that if their kids don't want to do it when they're young, but they want to do it later, you can't pass your license on to anyone. I don't know if anyone else has anything to add.
Hi, yeah, I do. And I just want to apologize for earlier. My laptop died and then my son was screaming. So I had to take a minute to, fix everything. So we can circle back to that question later on at the end if you would like. I don't want the conversation to go, off kilter as to what it is right now. But I just wanted to chime in and say, I mean, it is for us here. It is kind of a generational thing. You do kind of have to go through the apprenticeship student program. And then you can get your license after that if you want to. But if anyone was to kind of try to do that, that was not raised in this community here per se, they would have a very hard time getting into the fishery, even though they've kind of gone up through and done the apprenticeship program. I don't know if that's just the community around here, but it's been a kind of a fishing rule here that if you're going to fish here, you have to live here, so to speak. Yeah, that's it.
So I just have a little bit to add as a general breakdown for anybody that doesn't know what the apprenticeship program is. We kind of touched on a few of the things. It's the 1,000 hours and 200 days. So you have to have at least 1,000 hours over those days, but over 200 days, but you're under another fisherman. You're fishing with another, somebody else that has a license and has taken you on as their student. And then you record your hours, you record your days, and you have to turn them in. I believe, I'm not sure if it was every 30 days or every certain amount of hours.
250 hours.
Yeah, so you have to turn them in every certain amount of hours. And then 200 of those hours can be on land gear work. They don't all have to be on the boat time. But the captain has to sign off on all the hours, and so does the Department of Marine Resources, the local, whoever your local person is. And then at the end of the apprenticeship, once you've finished your logging all your days and your time, you get put on a list if you have a closed area. Some areas are open, some zones are open. And once you finish your apprenticeship, you can automatically get your license just like you were if you were a student and finished your hours and your time, which happens to be the same amount of time. But also some areas that the list, it's a long list. That's why people have to wait so much time to get their license. And it gets frustrating waiting because every year you have to renew your apprenticeship and pay the fee every year until you your name comes up on the list. And when your name comes up on the list, that means that there's usually like either 7 out and 1 in. 7 licenses are either given up or people given up, or taken, what have you. 7 licenses are gone and 1 gets given off the list. Recently, they've changed the number. I believe for Zone B, because we used to be 7, and then we were put to 5, and I don't know if we're still at 5.
We're at 3 now.
3, yeah. So
3
a
to
lot more
1.
coming off the list a lot faster. And they also started doing a thing where if you weren't fishing during or you don't have history in the last certain amount of years, or catch, poundage, landings. That's the thing. If you don't have landings in the last so many years, we're taking your license because you're not fishing anymore, unless you have like a reasonable thing that you've proven to the Department of Marine Resources. So, but that's the apprenticeship and student program. And student program, you automatically get it at the end of your logging, but you get, I think, 300 traps to start with, and then every year you get another 100 tags up until 800. So it kind of lets you work your way up as a student. And I think the apprenticeship is the same. I'm not 100%, but yeah, so that's kind of that.
There is another question going in a sort of different direction, just in general. Have any of you experienced retaliation from being a woman on the water, for example, cut lines or stolen pots? Anybody want to take that question?
Me?
Yeah,
I
sure.
have.
Go ahead, Karen, go ahead.
I think it's just like, I don't know, I think not just because I'm a woman, but initially it's like that's you're jumping in, like you set traps, and that's what the guys do when you first start. But then also I've had just shitty things happen. That's probably because I'm a woman. But it just makes you, if they cut you off, you just want to put more traps in the water. So it didn't bother me. It did at first, but then I was like, okay, whatever, do whatever you want, but I'm just gonna keep fishing. So, but yeah, but it's only a certain few. It's not like everybody's out for you. There's like a certain group of idiots that do it. My problem is the other day I go to check my kelp farm and one of my lines is cut, and I was like, what's going on? But I honestly, I think DMR went to look at my farm, and you pull your kelp up and I have weights on it because it is buoyant. So when you drop it, you have to wait to let it settle down. And I feel like they didn't let it settle down. And when they took off, boom, cut my gear. So now I have it out for Marine Patrol.
I just have to say, I have never been, I've never been tampered with or anything like that. I have been fishing down in the Harrington River at our moorings probably more or longer than 95% of the men that are down there. So yeah, I've never had to worry about that. There may be 3 fishermen that are still there when I started as a kid. Everybody else is coming in after me. So I'm the old one that's been there fishing, and people know me around there. I've never had any problems like that. Everybody loses gear. Boats run over buoys and things like that, and you might lose a trap here and there, but I've never had anything stolen. I've never had my bait, anything tampered with. So I'm very lucky, but I do believe it's because I've been there just as long, if not longer, than most of the men down there. So I'm not bothered at all by it. They might know better. I don't know. Because I come at them. I'll hold my own, let's put it that way. So yeah, I guess I'm lucky.
I would have to agree. Same thing. I started so young that everybody kind of had the opposite with me. Like they were all like, yeah, like very supportive and like, can I help you with anything? Like dragging bait down the dock in the morning, and like always, like I've had like a ton of support from all the men around me and in my harbor and stuff. And I've never really had any trouble due to being a woman. Like, I feel like I've had the exact opposite. Like I've had more support because I'm a woman and I was a lot younger, but also everybody's known me since I was a child. And, you grow up in that industry, you grow up around everybody that they're glad to see you do well. They're glad to see you succeed. So
I
yeah,
should just say that it's one certain family that does it to everybody. It's not, and I'm older than all of them. I mean, at 55, I've been fishing longer than they've been alive. So, but it's just something that they do.
I think we all have those as well. But yeah.
Yeah, I have to say, you guys are very lucky. I got into fishing late. So I think when I got in, a lot of people around town didn't really take me too seriously, because like Ariel was trying to explain, when you do get your license, they start you at 300 traps. So I just kind of started with 300 traps, was going stern man, working double time, trying to make a living and, get into the lobstering industry that way, because the expenses are crazy. Trying to pay off a boat, trying to pay off gear, rope, traps, buoys, it's overwhelming. And I got hauled the first year, maybe even the second year that I was fishing. But I just kept going, and I haven't had any trouble in the last few years. Not like I did the first year and the second year that I started hauling. I just think that a lot of the guys didn't think I was going to last. So now I've gained a lot of respect from a lot of the people around the wharfs, and we chat, and everyone waves to one another. So it's been kind of a relief, but it was definitely hard for me getting in, even though my family's fished here for, oh my God, 3 generations. Everyone knows the trips around here. It was still hard for me. And there's not a lot of women here that fish. Actually, there is only one that I know of that fishes in a different town. So we're very few and far between. So you guys are definitely lucky. So hopefully that's over with now, though, for me. And if they want to keep doing it, then I'll give them hell.
I think I agree with Abby there, and well, all of this, but there's a lot of people that see when you start out young and you grow up in it, they watch you grow, and they watch you progress, and they end up being proud of you, and they do want to help you. Like, what can you do? And then there gets to be a point where it's like, okay, you're one of the guys now. Like, you got that. So then it's like, damn, I can't play the girl the girl card anymore. Like, oh, this is so heavy. Yeah, no, they saw my muscles, so they don't help. But it's funny because it's like my brother was the one that, one of my brothers was one of the ones that made that comment to me once, is, you don't need the help anymore. You're good. And they walked right by, and I'm like, damn you. It was funny though. But there's those that are like, I haven't really, I don't know. I was kind of up and down. I wasn't really sure whether I wanted to really do it full time, like for a lot of my growing up, because I don't know. I had that scary day when I was 18. I thought it was the scariest day of my life. It definitely wasn't, but so it's just, I don't know. I wasn't sure, but I always kept getting drawn back to the water. And now in the last few years, I've really become huge. And then it ends up being a lot of jealousy and they don't like seeing a girl coming in with more than they do sometimes. It's luck of the draw. Like, it's fishing. It's not catching. So then there's the days that they see that type of shit. And when you do it over and over and over and over again, they don't like it. So I've had that, and then I've had it where when we were younger, people just didn't like how many of us there were, because it was me and my 2 brothers, all the same. Like, we were all 4 years apart in age, and there's 3 of us all getting into it as students. So we're all getting our commercials. So there's a lot of kids, gillies showing up, bam, 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 everywhere. People didn't like it at first when we were kids. So then you get little bits like that. And I don't know, over the years, just ups and downs, but people, like I said, they see you grow, they see you progress. And then there's one, I get traps here and there hauled. I mean, you get steady numbers, and then there's one completely empty. Usually I try to not get irritated by just saying, maybe it landed upside down, but yeah, anyways, I'm gonna shut up now. But there's ups and downs. People, a lot of it's just jealousy usually around here, that the only problems I've seen, but I just keep hauling. You can't let yourself get irritated by it, because it'll drive you nuts. And I don't know. There's a lot that are proud. And of Abby, like I've seen Abby grow up too. And see her, she has a baby now. I can't see you on here, I don't know where you are, but I didn't see you last year. I keep looking around for you, but it's nice seeing other girls out there. I know that it's exciting, because I don't know, I love seeing the kids growing up in it. You're not really a kid anymore, but we all grow up in it. And when you grow up in it, it's different. It is harder when you're in the apprenticeship coming in. And I've seen it with a lot of people. But I'm gonna shut up now. So
I have a couple, but do we have any? We are technically 2 minutes away from 8 o'clock. But if there's any burning, demanding questions that we would like, you can throw them in the chat, raise your hand.
I'm going to try to kind of sign off early. I just want to say that, there's someone's shooting guns off in the background and he's getting upset. I just want to say thank you. And it took me all year to finally read this book, Ali, and you did an amazing job. All the stories are awesome. I really loved reading everyone's stories. I could literally relate to all of the girls on here that shared their story. So yeah, just thank you. And hit me up on Facebook if you ever want to chat or anything like that.
Thank you so much, Krista. I'm so happy you were able to join in.
Yes, me too. You're welcome, and take care. And I'll see you around, Ali, okay?
Absolutely.
All right, bye-bye.
Aw. All right, cool. Well, in that case, I will wrap it up. Thank you everybody for coming. Thank you to Ali and all the lobstermen, and then of course our sponsor, to bring this program to life. If this program has piqued your interest in women's roles in the fishing industry, I am going to do you a favor and put in a link to the digital version of our women's work exhibit here in the chat. So it's up in the gallery now at the center, which if you're local, open Thursday to Sunday, 10 to 4 in New Bedford. It'll be there till the end of June, but the digital version will be on the website in perpetuity. I think this was awesome. I'm so happy that we got to do this and everybody joined in.
Do we want to just let people know where they can buy Ali's? Ali, do you want to let people know where they can buy your book?
Sure. cstreetpublishing.com. You can find it right on there. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for organizing this. I loved it. I appreciate it.